How's it going, Blazers? This is David Blade Banter, working to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. This is one from Kubey knives. So this is one that I probably wouldn't have checked out, but Sean over at Instagram sent it over, gifted it to the channel, so appreciate that very much. This is a KU214. I've had it for a little bit. I've actually carried it. I actually like it. So now there's one that has a blue pocket clip that I thought this would be kind of off-putting, but with blue jeans it really actually matches pretty well, and it's a titanium clip. So a titanium clip for a knife that's around 40 bucks is pretty good actually. So this is going to be what it looks like in your pocket here, and then this is going to be the knife. So design wise it's going to be one that's not going to be for everybody. So if right off the bat, if this isn't what you're looking at and you're like, that's ugly, well, it cuts. So if you like it enough to buy it, then do so. But this is going to be what it looks like here. So it has a really good action for it. The flipper tab's in a kind of a lower position. When I normally would think about a flipper tab, it's normally going to be at the pivot or higher. This one's going to be a little bit below, but this one actually is sharpened at a really steep angle though. So do have the little tester here. So this one is not even on the chart. So like when you line it up, so this is over 20 degrees, so it's probably going to be like 26 degrees per side, which is really quite steep. I mean, if you're going to be working with it, I guess you have a little bit more of that angle that's going to be behind the edge, so you can maybe maintain that working edge a little bit longer. But normally like 15 degrees is a really good. 20 degrees is kind of the top of most of the EDC knives, but this one's going to be over that, maybe about 26 degrees per side. So not the great right off the bat, but it still cuts though. So that's one thing about it for the knife. But as you see here, you do have this type of kind of I know Wharncliffe kind of is kind of overused, but I feel this looks like a Wharncliffe knife. Not totally straight on the bottom, has a little bit of belly, but Kubey knife has this little cutout here, which is kind of an interesting little style aspect of it. It does have the T8s across the whole body, which is a good thing. I mean, that's something that a lot of people look for, and that's that titanium pocket clip and that clearance underneath it. So it works really well. It's something that I actually prefer this knife over many of the more expensive knives. So I've looked at some of the other ones that cost well over 100 bucks, and I actually like this one quite a bit more. And just going to double check, make sure this actually is T8. Yep, and it is. So T8 on both sides. So you're going to have the same screw for both the pivot and also the body screws, which is a nice thing for that. I did have the pocket clip come loose a few times, so I did tighten it down. It seems like it's at a good tension now, where I'm not having issues with it, but that is something that I did have some issues with. This one, as far as weight goes, is going to be a little bit higher for most folks. It's going to be about a 4.3 ounces. So if you have issues with that type of weight, then that's going to be right off the bat, there's going to be an issue for your knife. But really, like bug out is like a 1.9 ounces. So if that's your jam, then that's going to be some type of issue for it. But this one is going to be for the channel as far as the weight wise. That equates to 21 quarters and a penny. That's going to be, again, not in the shot. So 21 quarters and a penny. That's going to be what it is for the knife. And then also, to put that in perspective, if you have a iPhone 12, which I do not, that weighs 5.7 ounces. So if you feel that this knife is too heavy, your iPhone weighs more than this knife. This knife does have a pull about 3 pounds, 12.2 ounces. So that's what equates to this type of action for it. So that is a little bit on the higher end. So normally like 2 to 3 pounds, but due to the fact that this flipper tab is so large and everything's really rounded off, this doesn't have any issues as far as discomfort for it. But as you see, it's quite a bit under the the actual pivot. So normally if you want to really have a snappy action, most times it's going to be above the pivot or in line with the pivot, and this one's slightly under, but it still has a really good action as far as how it opens. So that's a really good thing with this one. Cutting edge on this one is going to be a little bit shorter than the blade length. So this one is going to be measured from basically this edge to the tip, 3.36 inches. And then from the furthest point forward to the tip is going to be 3.49. So that's also going to be a flat grind all the way across, which does offer a pretty good cutting through cardboard. I didn't have any issues with it, so I did really like it. As I said earlier, D2, not going to be high on corrosion, so if you do have some issues with that in your area, this would be one that you just got to maintain. It's going to be about 6th percentile for corrosion resistance, about 49th percentile for edge retention compared to some other blades out there. So D2 does still have a benefit for folks that are either willing to maintain their knives or in an area with not a lot of humidity. Blade handle is going to be 4.79 inches. So it's good for most hands. Normally about 4.5 inches is going to be one that is going to be comfortable for the majority of folks. For small to large hands, this one behind edge thickness is going to be about 5 sheets of paper. So that's going to be about 21 thousandths. Blade stock thickness on this one is 3.94, but that's going to be at this far end here before the primary grind. And as you see now, it actually does taper down a little bit for this area. So the actual cutting area is going to be a little bit less. So that's going to be a few thousandths less than this area. So still very good cutter. Right hand tip up only. That's going to be the only option that you have for this knife, is the right hand tip up. Again, blue pocket clip on this one. Most of them come with the plain titanium, so it doesn't have this blue anodization, but you can still find it. I did find it on Amazon, I think, with the blue. And then this one also has a 2-pound pull, so taking this out of pocket is about 2 pounds of resistance to get it out of your pocket. So that's going to be one that is going to retain very well, not too heavy for that as far as the pull on it. So for this knife, as I stated from the get-go, I like it better than their more expensive knives. I just do. Like, there's something about it as far as the use, the unique styling for it. It just worked better than the knives that I've experienced from Kubey that cost over $100, $150 knife. I would actually use this knife more than those, and then I don't have many Kubeys. So we'll see what other products they come out with, but the reason why some of those things, they're ones that are titanium, it just doesn't feel as refined. Some of the thicknesses seem a little bit bigger than others in that price point. So that's why this really hits the mark at about that $40 price point with this blade steel, titanium pocket clip, and overall performance does very well. So that's why I would say this is a buy, bar, avoid. I would say buy it if you like it. Again, if the style's not for you, and that's going to be an immediate thing that will turn you away from the knife. But in use, it does very well. Action, very well. Comfort, good. So that's where this one comes in for me. But that's going to be some of the style side. But we'll look at some of the comparisons. That's going to be a bug out. Rat number 2. Pair 3, and then you're going to have the Solaris. So those are going to be the sizes for that, but that is about all I have to say about that one today.